Hello and welcome into RNN Talks, the premiere episode where we talk about all the big news happening in the motorsports world and dissect it and break it down for you so you know exactly what is happening in the world of motorsports. Hello, I am your host, Garth Allen. Thanks for joining me here on Racing News Now. This episode was going to be a little different, I'll be a little honest with you. We had our IndyCar correspondent, Tom Poole, come on. He joined us to break down predictions for this season for all series. Unfortunately, had a little bit of problem with that video and having to redo it here, so I apologize for that. You only get me on this round as I'm a little pressed for time here, so in the essence of time, I'm going solo on this. No IndyCar correspondent Tom Poole, but we will have him on eventually. If not before then, we will have him on the week leading into the first round of the IndyCar season to give us a preview of that and everything we can expect in the IndyCar season. So let's just dive in right now. Before we get to predictions, I want to talk about the one thing that's on everyone's mind this week as we go through Speed Weeks, and that is Danica Patrick in the Daytona 500. And can she compete in a premium motorsports car, which premium motorsports, I hate to say it, but they're not known for being overly competitive. They haven't shown a lot of speed in their entire existence in NASCAR, unfortunately. And I would say her practice times are pretty indicative of that. 31st in the first practice section, which was single car. She was running qualifying type laps, and then 16th in the second practice. So it's a little better, and that one was in the draft. So she has some decent speed in the draft. Not great speed, but she's got decent speed in the draft. She didn't run 10 consecutive laps ever, so we don't have a 10-lap average to compare to, so we know exactly what she does over a long run. I'm going to say, though, the short answer is, can she compete? No, I don't think she can, unless some extreme act of luck happens. I don't think we're going to be seeing Danica Patrick in Daytona Victory Lane this time around, which is unfortunate. I know a lot of people want to see her go out with a win. A lot of people just want to see her get a win, period. I don't think it's going to happen, though. I hate to tell you, I don't think it's going to happen. I would love to be proved wrong, but I don't think it's going to happen. All right, so let's get into predictions for Speed Weeks. I'm going to call it Speed Weeks Round 2. Weekend 2, whatever you want to call it. The duels come up tomorrow night, the Can-Am duels, the qualifying races to set the rest of the qualifying order for the Daytona 500. Alex Bowman and Denny Hamlin, the only ones locked in on the front row. Everyone is locked into the race because there's only 40 cars here, but your starting position is not locked until you finish the duel, and it determines where you start, which is your finish position in the duel. So, I say the winners of each of the duels. Duel number 1 winner will be Ricky Stenhouse. He was fast last year on all the restrictor plate tracks. I think he gets him another restrictor plate win, although not quite on the same stage this time around. And then Kyle Busch wins duel number 2 with some help from his JGR teammates, Denny Hamlin and Eric Jones, who start 1, 2, 3 with him in that second duel. My other Speed Weeks predictions, the truck race winner, the NextEra Energy Resources 250 Friday night, that will be Grant Enfinger. Daytona is such a wild card, it's hard to predict. You're almost throwing darts at a dartboard, so Enfinger has been fast on super speedways in the past. I think with a little bit of luck, he pulls off a win Friday night. Xfinity race winner, the PowerShare QQQ 300, what might be definitely the most unique race name on the entire schedule all year. That is going to be Ryan Reed for the third time in the last 4 years. He will win the February Daytona race for the Xfinity Series. Hard to pick against the guy that's won this race 2 out of the last 3 years. And then your Daytona 500 winner might be a little bit of a surprise to some people. That is going to be, I think, Austin Dillon takes the 3-car back to victory lane at Daytona. He has been fast this speed weeks. I think Austin Dillon takes the win in the Great American Race. So that's your Speed Weeks predictions. Let's move into the predictions for the whole season now. We'll start off with open wheel stuff. IndyCar champion Scott Dixon. He's looking for some redemption after last season. He wants to beat those Penske guys. I think Scott Dixon wins the IndyCar championship. Winner of the most races, though, I think will be a Team Penske driver, and I think it's going to be Will Power. Most anticipated race on the schedule. You know, it's hard to say. It's hard to not say Indy 500 because it's the Indy 500. How can you not say the Indy 500? But I'm going to say Gateway. Gateway has been on the schedule for one season. Was not a overly great race last year. I love Gateway as a track. I think Gateway is a great track. I'm ready to see what the new car can do at Gateway. I think the new car can make Gateway a good IndyCar race. I'm ready to see that. Moving on to F1 now. Champion this season, I say, is going to be Max Verstappen when in that Red Bull car. If he shakes the bad luck monkey off his back that he had last season and gets rid of most of that bad luck, I think he's right up there with Vettel and Hamilton contending for the championship, and I think he takes it this year. Most anticipated race on the F1 schedule, I think, has got to be Azerbaijan. I can never pronounce that right. I apologize. I'll just call it Baku. Most anticipated race for me is Baku. I thought that was the best race all year last year for F1 was Baku. I'm ready to see the same thing again this year. I thought that was a great race. Moving on to stock cars now, ARCA. This one may surprise some folks as we go through this here. Most anticipated race, I think for me, has got to be Lucas Oil Raceway, formerly Indianapolis Raceway Park in Brownsburg, Indiana. I absolutely love that track. I don't know that there's a better track in the United States. You put any other track up against that, and I will say IRP, Lucas Oil Raceway, whatever you want to call it, is the best track out there. I am still disappointed that they took the Xfinity and truck races away from that. I understand why they did it. I'm still disappointed they did it. So right now the ARCA race is the premier race there on the oval. So I'm just excited for that. I love watching races at Lucas Oil Raceway. Biggest surprise this season, I think, is going to be Brett Holmes in the ARCA Racing Series. Brett had a lot of bad luck last season, did not have the year that he wanted. He showed a lot of speed at Daytona. I think he has shaken that bad luck. I say that. He did get caught up in one of the big ones at the end of the Daytona race. That being said, I think he's gotten most of his bad luck out of the way. I think he has a much better season this year, and I think he surprises a lot of people with how well he does this season. Brett Holmes will be your biggest surprise in the ARCA Racing Series presented by Menards this year. And your champion. Some people this won't be a surprise. Some people this will. Your ARCA Racing Series champion for 2018, I say, will be Natalie Decker, making history, the first female to win a ARCA Racing Series championship. And I definitely think she will be the first female to win an ARCA Racing Series event, and I think she will be the first female champion. She has got what it takes. She showed the makings of a champion at Daytona. She started on the pole, went through so much adversity. Her crew didn't quite put in enough fuel on one pit stop, so she had to come back down pit road for a second pit stop at one point. That set her back in the field. Then as she's trying to make her way back through the field, gets caught up in an accordion effect on a restart when guys didn't go in front of her, rips the left front fender off, has to battle through that, and somehow battles back for a 5th place finish. It's runs like that that make a champion. And I really truly believe Natalie Decker is going to be your 2018 ARCA Racing Series champion. Mark that down. We will revisit this at the end of the season and see if I was correct. I think I am. Moving on to the NASCAR side of things now. Your Camping World Truck Series champion this year, I think, will be Noah Gragson. He got his first win last season at Martinsville. And now that teammate Christopher Bell has moved up to the Xfinity Series, I think it's Noah Gragson's time to shine in the trucks. He's kind of on the same track as Christopher Bell was. Bell won a race or two before the 2017 season, then really broke out in 2017 and just put a hurting on the Truck Series last year. He was far and above, I think, the best driver in the Truck Series last year, deserved that championship. I think Noah Gragson has a similar season this year and wins the championship. He's got some competition. I mean, you got guys like Matt Craft and guys like that in there, but I think Noah Gragson pulls it off. Xfinity Series champion for 2018, I think, will be Christopher Bell. Nothing tells me that it won't be Christopher Bell. He ran great in the trucks. He's already got a win in the Xfinity Series. I think he is set for a fantastic season this year in the Xfinity Series. Christopher Bell wins the Xfinity Series championship in the number 20 car for Joe Gibbs Racing in the Xfinity Series. Now, moving on to the Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series. Your biggest surprise this season, I think, will be Alex Bowman. There's a lot of people sleeping on this guy. A lot of people thinking he is not worthy of driving Hendrick Motorsports equipment. I'm here to tell you he is worthy of it. Look at what he has done. There's too many people fixating on the fact that before he filled in for Dale Earnhardt Jr., he was only driving backmarker equipment. You're not going to take a 30th place car and run top 5, top 10, win races with it. It's not going to happen. He was doing the best he could in the equipment he had. Ever since he has been in good equipment, he has shown he has the talent. Sat on the pole, led the most laps, almost won the fall race at Phoenix in 2016, filling in for Dale Earnhardt Jr. when he had the concussion. 2017, sits out most of the season, comes back for one race in the Xfinity Series at Charlotte, driving the 42 car for Chip Ganassi Racing, wins the race. Comes to Daytona last week, well, 4 days ago, 5 days ago, something like that, I don't know. It's too late, I'm not doing math. Anyway, comes to Daytona, sits on the pole for the Daytona 500, runs a blisteringly fast lap. This kid is doing great things this year. Just watch. Alex Bowman will be the biggest surprise in the Cup Series this year. Not because he doesn't have the talent, because people think he doesn't have the talent, and he's going to prove them wrong. Most anticipated race this season, I think, has got to be the Charlotte Roval. What is that race going to be like? I think it's a great track. I'm ready to see what that race does. I'm ready to see a road course in the playoffs. So, most anticipated race, obviously, I think, is the Charlotte Roval, or as NASCAR wants it to be called, the road course at Charlotte Motor Speedway. I have a list of guys that I think don't make the playoffs this year that did make it last year, those being Matt Kenseth, obviously, because he's not racing this season, Casey Kane, Ryan Newman, Jamie McMurray. Now, the guys that make the playoffs in place of them, Joey Logano, Alex Bowman, Eric Jones, William Byron. We will revisit that come playoff time and see how exactly that panned out. Driver that wins the most races this season. This is going to be an unpopular pick. I know it. I see it coming right now. Kyle Busch wins the most races this season. That being said, I do not have him picked for champion this season. This year's 2018 Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series champion, according to Racing News Now, and we're going to circle back to this, especially if this actually happens, Kyle Larson wins his first NASCAR Cup Series championship this season. He had the makings of it last year, had a little bit of bad luck in the playoffs. Yes, Martin Truex Jr. was the class of the field all season, but Kyle Larson was right there with him, as was Kyle Busch. They were really the three best teams all season. Larson had a little bit of bad luck in the playoffs, got knocked out early. I think you take away that bad luck, Larson easily makes it to Homestead, and Homestead's one of his best tracks. So you put him in the championship four at Homestead, I am not betting on anyone else except for Kyle Larson. So that is your predictions for the 2018 season. If you have any predictions, please, I would love to hear them. Leave them down in the comments. I would love to hear them. Don't forget to subscribe to Racing News Now for all of your favorite racing content. We've got a lot of shows. We even have one show coming up that has not debuted yet. It will not debut until next week. That is Your Next Favorite Driver, where we introduce you to up-and-coming young drivers that are sure to be your next favorite driver. We'll get to talk to them and just show you who they are, what they've done, that kind of thing. It will be a great time. That premieres not this Thursday, not tomorrow, but next Thursday right here on Racing News Now. So again, leave your comments down below with what predictions you have for the 2018 season. Doesn't matter the series. I just want to know what you think is going to happen this season. Don't forget to subscribe, leave a like on this video. It is much appreciated. And do not forget to support us over at Patreon. That is the only way we will continue to bring you fantastic content here on Racing News Now. There'll be a link down below somewhere. It's patreon.com/racingnewsnow. You can donate as little as $5 a month, and it will go to upgrading all of our equipment, helping us get to races to give you better content. It'll just go to improving RNN as a whole, and we will surely appreciate you for it. And you'll get some access to things that you wouldn't normally get outside of donating, like access to a private Facebook group to talk to me, to talk to Tom Poole, our IndyCar correspondent, to talk to other NASCAR fans. Things like that. There's a lot of stuff that you get access to with Patreon that I can't even think about right now. It's escaping me at the moment, but there's a lot of rewards on there that I have hand-selected for you just for donating a few bucks a month to go toward helping RNN. So it would be fantastic if you could do that for us. All right, well, at that, this has been the premiere episode of RNN Talks right here on Racing News Now. I will see you on Monday for the pole position. I'm Garth Allen for Racing News Now.